What's up people, welcome back to my channel Escape Reality Dude. And if you are new to my channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon. Do you know how the name Resident Evil came from? And how Resident Evil became evil? Resident Evil, known in Japan as Biohazard, is a Japanese horror media franchise created by Shinji Mikami and Takuro Fujiwara, and owned by the video game company Capcom. The franchise focuses on a series of survival horror games and includes live-action films, animated films, comic books, novels, audio dramas, and merchandise. The story follows outbreaks of zombies and other monsters created mainly by the Umbrella Corporation. The first video game, Resident Evil, was released in 1996. The franchise has grown to encompass numerous sequels of various genres, incorporating elements of action, exploration, and puzzle solving, and storylines inspired by horror and action films. Resident Evil has been credited with popularizing survival horror games, as well as repopularizing zombies in mainstream popular culture from the late 1990s onwards, along with The House of the Dead, leading to a renewed interest in zombie films during the 2000s. Resident Evil is Capcom's best-selling video game franchise, with over 95 million sold worldwide by 2019. The Resident Evil films are also the highest-grossing film series based on video games. The development of the first Resident Evil, released as Biohazard in Japan, began in 1993 when Capcom's Takuro Fujiwara told Shinji Mikami and his co-workers to create a game using elements from Fujiwara's 1989 game Sweet Home. When in late 1994 marketing executives were setting up to release Biohazard in the United States, it was pointed out that securing the rights to the name Biohazard would be very difficult, as a DOS game had been registered under that name, as well as a New York hardcore punk band called Biohazard. A contest was held among company personnel to choose a new game. This competition turned up Resident Evil, the name under which it was released in the West. Resident Evil made its debut on the PlayStation in 1996 and was later ported to the Sega Saturn. The first entry in the series was the first game to be dubbed a survival horror, a term coined for the new genre it initiated, and its critical and commercial success led to the production of two sequels, Resident Evil 2 in 1998 and Resident Evil 3, Nemesis in 1999, both for the PlayStation. A port of Resident Evil 2 was released for the Nintendo 64. In addition, ports of all three were released for Microsoft Windows. The fourth game in the series, Resident Evil, Code Veronica, was developed for the Dreamcast and released in 2000, followed by ports of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil Code Veronica was later re-released for Dreamcast in Japan in an updated form as Code Veronica Complete, which included slight changes, many of which revolved around story cutscenes. This updated version was later ported to the PlayStation 2 and GameCube under the title Code Veronica X, despite earlier announcements that the next game in the series would be released for the PlayStation 2, which resulted in the creation of an unrelated game titled Devil May Cry. Series creator and producer Shinji Mikami decided to make the series exclusively for the GameCube. The next three games in the series, a remake of the original Resident Evil and the prequel Resident Evil 0, both released in 2002, as well as Resident Evil 4, 2005, were all released initially as GameCube exclusives. Resident Evil 4 was later released for Windows, PlayStation 2, a trilogy of gun-compatible light gun games known as the Gun Survivor series featured first-person gameplay. The first, Resident Evil Survivor, was released in 2000 for the PlayStation and PC but received mediocre reviews. The subsequent games, Resident Evil, Survivor 2 Code, Veronica and Resident Evil, Dead Aim, fared somewhat better. Dead Aim is the fourth Gun Survivor game in Japan, with Gun Survivor 3 being the Dino Crisis spin-off Dino Stalker. In a similar vein, the Chronicles series features first-person gameplay, albeit on an on-rails path. Resident Evil, The Umbrella Chronicles was released in 2007 for the Nintendo, with the follow-up, Resident Evil, The Dark Side Chronicles released in 2009. Both were later ported to the PlayStation 3 in 2012. Also in 2009, Resident Evil 5 was released for PlayStation 3, Windows and Xbox 360, becoming the best-selling game of the franchise despite mixed reviews. Resident Evil Outbreak is an online game for the PlayStation 2, released in 2003, depicting a series of episodic storylines in Raccoon City set during the same time period as Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. It was the first in the series and the first survival horror title to feature cooperative gameplay. It was followed by a sequel, Resident Evil Outbreak, Filed No. 2. Raccoon City is a metropolis located in the Arklay Mountains of the Midwestern United States that succumbed to the deadly T-virus outbreak and was consequently destroyed via a nuclear missile attack issued by the United States government. The town served a critical junction for the series' progression as one of the main catalysts to Umbrella's downfall as well as the entry point for some of the series' most notable characters. Resident Evil Gaiden is an action-adventure game for the Game Boy Color featuring a role-playing style combat system. There have been several downloadable mobile games based on the Resident Evil series in Japan. Some of these mobile games have been released in North America and Europe through T-Mobile. At the Sony press conference during E3 2009, it was announced that Resident Evil Portable would be released for the PlayStation Portable, described as an all-new title being developed with the PSP Go in mind and totally different for a Resident Evil game. However, as of 2012, no further announcements have been made, and the game is considered to have been cancelled.